Yes. So, Aude, how are you?
Fine, and you, Robert?
Good, good, good. So you had a baby. When was? How old is your child now?
My son is already 2 years old.
Oh my God! Wow!
Yeah, between
Wow!
a
Wow! Wow.
baby and a little boy.
Yeah, 2 years old is that's the rough. That's when start things get a bit complicated, no?
Yeah, yeah, the opposition state.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's no, no, no a lot, and let me do by myself.
Right.
It's cool because we can really communicate together,
Right.
and it's the beautiful part of it.
Oh yeah, they're it's magic. I mean, at that age, they're so beautiful.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
tired. I'm exhausted, but it's still
Right.
magic.
Right. Right. Do you so do you speak to your son in English? I mean in French or
I speak to him in French, but
Mhm.
I want to speak to him more and more in English. Uh,
Ah.
I bought some, play cards
Mhm.
in English just to show him how to pronounce them, and sometimes
Mhm.
he pronounces by himself.
Okay.
So yeah, but he has the French accent. It's so
Yes,
so
well that's
funny.
normal. Yeah.
Toothpaste. It's
Well,
so cute.
I mean my both my boys, I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old
Mhm.
and I speak to them in English, but they don't talk back to me in English. They always
Oh,
reply in French.
okay.
But my strategy is to not be the annoying,
Yeah,
guy.
I do
Hey,
understand.
speak to me. No,
Yeah,
because then it will repulse them. They won't
yeah,
want to,
that's
right?
right.
No. So but they understand, and that's great. But when they do speak in English, they obviously speak with a French accent, and I find it so cute. I love it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. People tell this about English accent when you're French, that it's
mhm.
sexy or it's cute. So
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
totally. Well, I
And
mean, when I speak French with my Quebecois accent, French people think it's cute and
yeah,
and
it
all that,
is.
right? Yeah.
Accents
So
are cute anyway.
of
Yeah.
course, of course, but the thing is, no one likes their own accents, you know.
Mm,
But
yeah.
everyone else likes their, especially the French accent.
I would love to have the native accent, the native Canadian
Uh-huh.
accent. I would
Hmm.
love to have it.
Well,
But
honestly, you're pretty close. Like
oh, merci.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's really amazing. How is that possible, by the way? Like, you lived in Canada, right?
I lived in Canada. I lived in
What's your story? Yeah, tell us that. Like what happened?
with English. I fell in love with English when I was a teenager. I think at the first class, English class at school, it was like a revelation. I really fell in love with this language.
Wow,
So I
okay, that's rare.
decided to,
Okay.
oh, yeah, and I decided to go to London as a fille au pair.
Oh,
And
okay,
every
yeah.
summertime, I was
Right.
from maybe 14 years old till 18. Um,
Every summer from four.
yeah,
Okay, so the Filio Pair program, how good is that in order,
it's
to
wonderful. For me, it
right.
was, yeah, it's wonderful because you have class in a school during the
Mhm.
mornings.
Wow, you have
And
a real official class.
oh yeah, you
Okay.
have official classes, yeah.
Oh,
To in order to speak better, to learn vocabulary, to
right.
read, to talk to people. And we
Right.
were all foreigners.
Okay, right.
So I was with Russians, with Spanish, and
Ah,
so we
wow.
were. It was kind of mandatory to speak in English.
Yeah, right, right, right. Like, yeah, the teacher couldn't like switch to French to
No,
explain something,
yeah,
Right,
they don't
right, right,
speak French,
right.
and and in the afternoon you take care of kids,
Okay, right.
and it was a beautiful part. She was the kids that I was
Mm-hmm,
taking care of
mm-hmm.
was four, like your yeah, like
Oh my
your
God.
baby.
Yeah.
And she was correcting my English.
Oh
No, you don't
wow.
say that way. So it was
Uh-huh.
so funny.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I remember the word dinosaur. I
Yeah.
couldn't pronounce at all. And she was trying to help me. Oh, it was so cute.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh,
Mm,
that's great. But
yeah.
honestly, you have to have a certain mentality to learn languages effectively because some people are, let's say, what's the word? Self-conscious, or they don't want to be corrected. They're too
yeah.
proud, right? Like
Proud or maybe shamed, no?
or ashamed, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
In France, when you don't talk correctly in French or in another language, it's not socially approved. Yeah.
Right.
So sometimes you feel shame to speak because that your English or your Spanish is not correct enough.
Mm.
Um,
Where does this shame come from? Like,
I think education.
so is the education system in in France, like rigid, like it's about like rules, and is
I
that
think
maybe
it's
it?
changing
Mm-hmm.
because we are more open to listen to the needs of the kids and not to try to keep the rigid parts, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we don't allow to, in my generation, for example, we didn't allow to speak so much first, speak and to get your point of view and try to argue with your parents. It wasn't allowed in my family at all.
Oh, you weren't allowed to argue with your parents?
Argue, just talk and don't have the same ideas and try to debate.
I see, right. Oh, right. There's no debate. Yeah, your parents said this, and that was that. Yeah,
and they were teachers, so it's kind of they were debating with their students, but at home it wasn't the same way.
Right.
So now I'm a teacher. I debate at school, but I try to debate also at in my family, and that's kind of hard, huh? Negotiate with a baby.
Yes, it is. That's a tricky one. Parenting is another issue for sure. So for 4 years you went to England or Ireland?
England.
Oh, England. Okay.
I was in Blackpool and Southport. And so I learned this Cowsey accent, like they call it.
Okay.
It was kind of difficult the first time, and later, how was the story? I came to your university and I tried to be. I studied a DUG at the time. It was called a DUG. It's bachelor.
Okay.
I wanted to be a translator.
Ah, like a French, English?
Yeah, and Spanish, Portuguese as well.
Why? Because you also had learned Spanish and Portuguese?
Spanish and Portuguese, yeah.
Okay, cool. Wow, amazing.
But it was too difficult for me at the university to learn this. So I studied tourism and I start traveling.
Oh, that's a wise move. You should always travel when you're young,
Of course, you learn so much about yourself and about the others. It's wonderful school.
Yes.
And I ended up in Montreal for a training of 3 months. And after the 3 months, I came back to pass my exams, and I said to myself and to my parents, I want to live in Montreal. I think it was my second crush. After English.
After England.
Yeah.
Montreal. Yeah. What did you like about Montreal? What
everything is possible in Montreal. Everything is simple. People are kind. You can be whoever you want to be or who you want to become to be. If you want to work, you just have to change your work. Actually, you well paid for your work. Yeah, but it's snowing all the time.
Yeah, the winters are long. Yeah,
painful and long. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I agree. So, how long did you stay in Montreal?
I spent 15 years in Montreal.
Okay. Wow. Holy cow. Wow. So, so that's as an adult. So, from how old until?
From 24, till almost 40.
Wow. Okay, so tell me about that period of your life. What were you doing in Montreal? What was like? Did you have many different jobs, or what were you? Okay.
I did some tourism studies, like I told you. in France, and I worked for a tour operator called Vacances Transat,
Okay.
and I was creating the travels, but sur mesure.
Yeah, right. Okay. Custom travel
Custom
packages.
travels.
Right, like so some guy would come in, yeah, I
Mhm.
want this and that, and okay, right. You would build it as a, got it, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I mean,
Yeah,
making,
it was
you
fun.
know,
I loved it.
uh-huh.
And when I was working there, we had a lot of new colleagues, and they asked me to train them in order
Mhm.
to make them more efficient at work.
Right.
And I love this part.
Okay, right. That's where you're like, oh, I
Yeah,
like training and
I
like,
like
mhm,
training. I didn't want to
mhm,
be a teacher because I
mhm.
saw my parents working all the time as teachers
In public, like a public school, or they
in a
were
public
public,
school, the
right?
Éducation nationale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Oh, so they do work a lot. It's not with the
They do work. Some of them do work a lot. Yeah, but when you love your job anyway, you work a lot.
yeah. Mhm.
And yeah, and one day, one of my colleagues get a call from a school. They were looking for someone teaching geography, Asia geography. And I was a fan of Asia, and I traveled a lot in Asia as
Oh,
well.
wow. Okay.
So my colleague said, I'm sorry, I'm too shy to teach, but I think her, pointing me, I think her, she's not shy enough. She's not shy at all. So
Right.
maybe she will be interested. I think it was a Wednesday, and on Monday I was starting teaching.
Wait, so this was in Montreal, or?
This was in Montreal, in the ITHQ. It's the Ministry of Education, specialized in
Okay.
tourism and hostelling.
Okay.
And I taught in Collège La Salle in Montreal
Oh
as
yeah, I know
well.
Collège de Salle.
Yeah,
Yeah. Downtown, right? Downtown
downtown.
Montreal.
Yeah, the English part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it.
Mm. Oh,
So
so you were teaching in English,
I
or?
was teaching in English. I was teaching
Ah,
in French as well.
right. And would you say, so when you lived in Montreal, do you think you spoke more French or more English?
Oh, more French.
Yeah.
It was more French because I lived in the French area, the Plateau.
Oh, you lived in the Plateau. Okay.
Yeah, my friends
Ah,
were
great.
French,
Yeah.
but I was dating some English guys at the time, so
Yeah.
it was maybe 30% English and the rest in French.
Right. So even at work, like it was mostly French.
Yeah, it was
More
mostly French. Yeah,
class, yeah. Mhm.
but the interesting part is that in Montreal, English is all around. So you can go in a bar and start talking in English and get talk in English. You have the choice. You can talk in English. You can talk in French. You can hear English everywhere in the streets, on a radio, on TV. In France, you don't have the choice. You don't have on TV. You don't have English programs, or even in the streets. Well, maybe in Montpellier, because it's
Right.
Montpellier, and we have a lot of exchanges, language.
Sure. I mean, you hear it from time to time, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like Montreal, of course, right?
And at the time, I was dating an American, so
Nice.
I was kind of bilingual. So I was. It was a pleasure to teach in English. I was teaching photography.
Geography in English.
And geography and photography, yeah.
Oh, and photography. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. And so did you have a diploma or a certificate to?
I got a certificate, intern certificate in ITHQ. And when I came back to France, then I passed a master degree.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
In education. So in France we have to have some diplomas.
Yeah, of course. So it's fascinating because you've worked, because I mean I've been living in France for 9 years, but I've never worked here for someone else. I've always just been independent, right. So what I'm saying is I can't compare like work, because I worked in Montreal. I mean, I was an employee. I worked in different jobs and had bosses. In France, I never had a boss, but the people that I've met, I mean, my clients here in France, I've met thousands, of French adults who are employees, and often the feedback that I get is that they're not so happy at work. They're not so happy with management or the style of management. Are you able to compare? Is there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think the numbers for the statistics in France, I think it's more than 50% of French salariés, workers, are not happy at work.
Yeah.
Management here is awful. Most of the managers are not trained to be manager, because it's more a promotion for them, or
right. Maybe like they were good at their job, and so they were promoted to manager.
Yeah, they were promoted manager, but manager, it's a work, it's a job.
It's completely different. Yeah.
It's completely different. Yeah. And the posture, totally. La posture as a manager is totally different as well.
What do you mean, the posture?
Positioning, maybe it's the term. Yeah, positioning.
Right. And what do you mean by that?
When you're an employee and you become a manager, you are the hierarchy are not the same.
Right.
So you have to deal with the boss and the employee that you know, because you were an employee as well. So it's not the same position. And yeah, so and you have to take care of them and not punish them, not spy them. It's another way to do it. In Canada, you don't have this kind of pyramid.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Like, I mean, because I worked for Michelin, big French multinational company. I mean, there was a hierarchy.
Yeah.
I had a manager. My manager had a manager, but there was this feeling of course, it depended on the manager, but in general, you had the feeling that you can say what you were thinking, speak to your managers as equals, just as collaborators, where we all have the same mission, and so yeah, I mean, I had a great experience working in an office for a big multinational company. But then again, Michelin is known to be like one of a very good employer in general, So I guess it depends on the culture of the company, right?
Culture of the company.
But then again, but I was going to say, because in Montreal, in fact, we had quite a number of French people that were moving from France to Montreal to work, transferred, right? And I remember my colleague who came from Paris, and she said, she worked for the Michelin Guide, in Paris, and she was telling me, like it's not the same culture. Like I feel like I can breathe. Like I'm more like there's less stress. There's less
pressure.
Politics, less pressure, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
That's for sure.
It's true, huh? Yeah.
And everybody's stuck to each other without this kind of fear. My manager was as friendly with me as an employee than with her boss, their own boss. So, and I was able to talk to the big boss of the company like he was just someone accessible.
Right. Yeah.
And I knew him. For example,
okay,
in France, bosses, you don't see them. You don't, when you're employee or maybe manager, you have more contacts. But when you're employee, you don't specially see them or work with them.
Right. There's like this distance between.
This distance.
And so you work now in France, and how is the culture? Where you like? Do you work for a private company right now, or?
I work for my own now.
Nice.
Yeah. I decided to be consultant. I'm a consultant in digital pedagogy, and I love it. So I do the hours I want to do. I'm my own boss, and I'm kind of hard with myself, but it's myself, so I handle it.
Yeah. So can you give me an example of what you do, of what
Yep.
service you provide?
I provide different services, and the first one is to train trainers to help them to understand better how to get the attention from the we call them apprenants in French,
Right.
students,
The learners, yeah.
learners, yeah.
Sure.
To create digital activities as well, e-learning, and to be better e-teachers as well. That's one of my service. The second one is the education, pedagogy, engineering. So writing some scripts and some contents.
Right, for courses, yeah.
For courses,
Wow,
and some evaluations as well. So I'm doing that also. And the third part, the first service I provide is we call that ingénieur de formation. So training engineering, and it's to build the whole system of the titles, the professional titles or the diplomas.
Oh yes, okay,
Yeah.
I see, right. And so your clients are
Schools.
private schools or public schools?
Public schools, private schools.
Really?
Yeah.
So the public sector can hire you, can decide to hire you.
Absolutely.
But how do you get a contract with who? Is it l'Éducation nationale? Like, does it have to?
No,
is
no,
it
no.
Bercy or what?
No. It's directly from the schools, or it's through an organism.
That they may subcontract you to
as a prestataire. Yeah.
Right. Do you get the clients directly, or do you do mostly prestataire, like subcontract?
It depends. But this year it's more prestataire. Huh? Yeah, it's more prestataire this year, because it's the prestataire can get the appel d'offres. How do you say that?
Call for tender.
Call for tender, c'est vrai.
Yeah.
So they get the call for tender, and they try to find some trainers for that.
Trainer, right.
Or consultants.
Right. Yeah, because it's not. I guess it's not easy, actually getting clients. It must be a lot of word of mouth, or do they find you other ways?
They find me a lot through LinkedIn. It's amazing. Yeah, most of my clients are from LinkedIn, or because I'm well known also in Occitania,
okay,
or in Montpellier. So they call me.
You're famous.
No, I'm not famous, but the marketplace is really tight.
Sure.
They know that I'm specialized in marketing, communication, and tourism, e-teaching as well. So it's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
I love it.
Yeah, I remember when we met. We met at some kind of I don't know, it was some kind of training.
Yeah, it was a conference or training. I don't remember, but I think it was in the tourism. Département, attends, c'était au CDT, Comité départemental du tourisme, I think.
Okay. I don't know what I was doing there, but
I don't know neither.
I don't know. Maybe I was lost. I was like, I don't know what this is.
Let's go to that conference.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning, I was just doing whatever I could. I didn't know, starting a business, you try a lot of different things.
Yeah, and you have to try, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was great, Aude. Thank you so much for agreeing to this.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
It was really interesting to hear your experience, in Canada and here and in the job market, and to hear what you do. And you speak English so well.
Thank you.
So thank you. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, Robert.